This video will review the Sunday school lesson on humble faith, focusing on the parable of the Pharisee and tax collector from Luke chapter 18 verses 9 to 14. This story highlights the contrast between the Pharisee's prideful self-righteousness and the tax collector's humble repentance. Let's take a closer look at the Pharisee. He stood alone and prayed, essentially thanking God that he was not like other people. His character was defined by great confidence in his own righteousness, scorn for others, and a self-exalting prayer. The Pharisee's prideful prayer included a list of his good deeds. I fast twice a week, and I give you a tenth of my income. A heart full of pride, focused on personal performance, leaves no space for God's grace. In contrast, the tax collector stood at a distance, daring not to lift his eyes to heaven. He simply beat his chest in sorrow and prayed, "O God, be merciful to me, for I am a sinner." True righteousness begins with humility and repentance. Jesus concludes the parable by stating, "This sinner, not the Pharisee, returned home justified before God. This is because those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted." This parable can be understood through the word picture of the two buckets. Pride plus full leaves a bucket overflowing with self. When a vessel is full of its own accomplishments, there is no room for anything new from God. The modern Pharisee's bucket is filled with social media metrics, degrees, and accolades. This self-exaltation causes the living water to spill over uselessly. A full bucket of self-achievements leaves no room for the living water. Jesus exposed the Pharisee's prayer as self-centered. He stood by himself and prayed about himself. Pride isolates us from others and from God's perspective. Self-righteousness is a counterfeit holiness, building a pedestal out of our own performance. The modern trap is being good without God. Building a pedestal of performance leaves no room for grace. The tax collector represents the empty vessel, battered, dented, empty of self-pride, and waiting for God's mercy. True faith begins when we realize our own spiritual emptiness. The tax collector's posture of grace shows that he didn't bring a resume to God. He brought a vacuum. He created space for God's mercy by not occupying the space with his own ego. True humility empties the self to make room for divine mercy. The divine exchange is clear. The stream of grace bypasses the neon bucket full of pride and pours into the cracked, empty clay pot. Grace flows where there is room to receive it. The takeaway for leaders is the trap of success, the temptation to start drinking our own supply. When we fill our buckets with titles, we become untouchable to the grace that saved us. Leadership requires the humility to remain a vessel for grace. The heart of humble faith is not thinking less of yourself, but thinking of yourself less. It is the quiet confidence that God is the source of all blessing. A humble heart is most attractive to the Spirit of God. In conclusion, Luke chapter 18 verse 14 reminds us, "For all those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted." Humility is the gateway to divine exaltation.